Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's always a pleasure to be on the show where we discuss all things books. I'm curious to know how many books have you read this year? I'll leave you to answer that. But if you have not read a book this year, or if you have not read a number of books this year, you need to get cracking. Pick up one and start reading. And particularly, you need to pick up a few fiction titles to read. I meet people who say, I'll never read fiction. I never bother myself with fiction. Fair enough, but fiction books are really quite good. If you are somebody who reads nonfiction all the time, once in a while, just pick up a fiction title and read. There are many advantages to that. First of all, you can't keep doing the same thing every time, every day of life. Come on. You know, a little bit of diversity really helps, and it helps the brain to think creatively. I mean, fiction titles help the brain to think creatively, because creative writers, that's what they do. They create characters and scenarios and all those things. They tickle our brains and get us, thinking and picturing people and picturing places and, experiencing things that's in real life we're not really part of. And of course, quite a number of them have very powerful lessons on morality, spirituality, etc., etc. So there are a lot of benefits to reading novels. If you are not one who reads novels or fiction books all the time, don't worry. Just do it once in a while. Just go out of your way once in a while. When you travel, when you're on holiday or something, just pick up something different from what you are used to. And the same goes for somebody who is always reading, fiction books and novels. One day, just pick up a non-fiction title and read. It helps to diversify reading a lot. Well, there's one here that I've been reading in the last few days. Wow, The Bridge of Holocausts. That's the title of this book. Have you ever met a professor of surgery who is also a creative writer? If you have not, you're about to meet one. He's our guest for today. I'll allow this introduction to get you in the mood so that when we begin to discuss with him, you'll really feel it and you'll feel this novel. But it's not just this novel we'll be discussing. He's written quite a number of books and we'll be going through his works as a whole. Let me allow this introduction and then we dig into the conversation. Enjoy it.
Alufohai is a professor of surgery and an author. Professor Alufohai, who is an alumnus of the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, had his residency program at the UCH Ibadan and Bristol Royal Infirmary, Bristol, in England. He is a fellow of the Nigeria Medical College in Surgery, FMCS. Professor Alufohai was the acting provost, the College of Medicine, Ambrose Ali University, Ekuma. He was later appointed as acting vice-chancellor of the institution. Some of his literary works are Alien to Poverty, The Motorboy, A Light to Our Generation, an evangelical biography by Johanna Gowan, and his Lordship Visitation, amongst others. Professor Alufohai joins Channels Book Club to discuss his newest book, The Bridge of Holocaust.
Prof, it's nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here.
I'm really honored.
We are honored to have you here. Yeah, you have to tell me this. I've been yearning to ask you. A medical doctor, you were trained as a doctor, you've practiced medicine for many decades, a surgeon. Where did the marriage of medicine and literature, when did that happen for you?
Well, I have always loved essays, right from primary school, when they say through secondary school. And but my ambition, right from primary school, was to become a medical doctor. And so I did not give any much thought to becoming a literary person. But I knew that each time I wrote an essay, the teacher was impressed.
Always happy.
In secondary school, yes, they were all impressed. But it didn't deter me from my primary ambition, which is to read medicine. But when I entered the university, the whole sort of locked up talent,
A passion.
came up by our vice chancellor, Professor Biobaku, who introduced the African studies.
That's the University of Lagos.
Lagos, that was where I attended. Now, he made science students to go 1 year course in the arts, pure arts.
Oh, wow.
While the art students should take 1 year.
And that was official.
That was official.
Brilliant.
We call it African studies.
Brilliant.
Well, in the class we say it's African jazz, but then we enjoyed it. But as the teachers came, seems that what was bottled up came up. And I started enjoying literary works. In fact, before I left the university, I had read all the African authors. The only one that was difficult for me was The Interpreter by Wole Soyinka. I read it in Form 3, in Form 4, or Year 4, again as a house officer, and then as a youth corper, to the extent that I went on to by interpreting the interpreters. And when I discovered I could not, I just bundled the two.
I left this somewhere.
This is not for me.
You couldn't crack it.
I couldn't crack it. So from there, I started noticing that when I read literary works, it makes more meaning to me and stimulates me also to put something down. So that was when I started writing some short stories.
That's interesting. I mean, the average person is multi-talented, right?
Yeah,
but we tend to leave,
yes,
certain talents we have and just lock them up somewhere and then
that's
focus.
Professor Biobaku unlocked it for me.
If you were, I mean, if it were another world, would you be a writer rather than a doctor? Or you will still choose? You still choose being a doctor and a writer?
I will still choose to be a doctor and a writer because I now know how much you can impact on the lives of people.
Now, it's not just being a writer that I find fascinating. I mean, it's not just you being a doctor and a writer that I find fascinating. It's what you have chosen to write that I find fascinating. Because, I mean, you take us through some of your works here, but there are a lot of interesting fiction here, short stories, novels and all that. Why that? Because you could have chosen to write, 1,001 subjects.
One, I would say that I am a silent listener at any given opportunity. And I have the opportunity as a clinician to also watch people clinically as they behave. And all that I put down as my basic driving force to put some of these things down in writing. For instance, the motor boy is about road traffic accident.
Road traffic accident, the motor boy?
Yes, about road traffic accident. And you will agree that the victims of road traffic accidents are mostly those that come to the surgeons. So anything that could reduce road traffic accident on our roads. is something worth doing. And I decided to put it in a fictional manner.
So you had observed a lot of road accident cases.
Oh, if you read the book,
and then so that created the desire to write a story along that line.
Along that line.
So you are the writer inspired by real life experience.
Yes, that is true. That's what has gone through all my works.
The Motor Boy. I'm looking forward to reading this.
Yeah. I think you will enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to reading this.
Yes.
Then you have Alien
To poverty. That is about the type of society we are living in.
Type of society.
We are living in.
There's a young lady with money here.
Money.
I can suspect what you have here.
And I did say in that book that, look, yes, you can do everything to acquire all the money. All right? But remember that you are not sure whether the wealth you are leaving behind will not be managed by a fool.
That's deep.
That is the whole essence of Alien to Poverty.
But it is a story. This is a fictional story.
It's a fictional story, yes. I took 4 characters. 1, a contractor. 2, a lady contractor. 3, an archbishop. And 4, a professor. And try to follow them, how they get their contract, how they fight, and what they do to themselves. And at the end, they discovered that their children could not even carry on with the monumental wealth they had acquired.
Prof, do you still read novels?
I do.
You still do?
I do. Shoika, for instance, because I was disappointed in the interpreter, but I got hooked to whatever he writes.
Everything.
I've read. In fact, the latest of his work is with me, which is The Happiest People on Earth. It's a humongous thing, but I will go through.
You have to crack it.
I have to crack it.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is Alien to Poverty, a novel.
Again, the society that look.
Interesting.
We have to take it easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now you've got here. This is not a novel.
Yes, this is.
Or rather, okay. Before this,
yes,
okay, there's the smaller one here.
Yes.
This is a collection of short stories. His Lordship's Visitation and other short stories.
Yes.
What am I going to find here?
Well, this is actually for junior secondary schools.
Okay.
But the aspect that I think I love and will continue to cherish to the end is the short story I read about the Soweto massacre.
The Soweto massacre
of 1976, where secondary school children were moved down
in South Africa
because they refused to study in the Afrikaans language. I believe very sincerely then and even now that massacre changed the world conception about apartheid and led to
the fall of
apartheid, because it was a gory sight. And I wrote it with a lot of emotion and then gave a prescription that the apartheid regime should look at the piano keyboard, which is black and white. And when you play it with the right keys,
you can't just play
the
white.
Harmonious sound that comes in pleases everybody. Why can't the black and the white, therefore, study the piano keyboard and live together? Today they are living together.
Interesting. I mean, you can't just play the white keys.
No.
Then can you just play the black keys?
They have to. So
I see that the dedication here is to the heroes of the Soweto massacre of 1976, and through them to Dr. Nelson Mandela, black man's rare gift of statesmanship to the world.
I think so.
Interesting.
And it remains so.
Interesting.
No other black man has been able to take that position.
Interesting. And this is not fiction.
No, this is not fiction.
But this is fascinating. A Light to Our Generation, an evangelical biography. Pa Johanna Gowon. And the first question that comes to mind is this the same Gowon?
No, he's the father of Gowon.
The same Gowon family?
The same Gowon family.
Father?
His father.
General Yakubu Gowon's
father. Yes.
This must be fascinating.
Yeah, it was. To me, it was.
It must offer some small insights into General Gowon himself.
That is true. That is true. In the letter for permission to do this work, I reminded His Excellency that you became a head of state because God wants to honor your father through you. I said, that is it.
His father,
yes,
was a great man.
He was a catechist.
A catechist.
But an ardent Christian.
Wow.
An ardent Christian. Very prayerful. And that prayer life is still there with the family.
The Bridge of Holocausts. In the last 7 days, I've read your book. And I finished it.
So, great.
And I said I need to meet this man. And I finally met you this morning.
Thank you very much.
You know, so for the sake of viewers, let's paint the picture here. You have written about two worlds.
Yes.
Two sharply contrasting worlds. Two boys born at two different ends of the world.
Same age.
Same age. One born in the Western world with science and medicine and technology and everything, you know, helping. In fact, his parents got pregnant as a result of
medical technology.
IVF.
Yes, medical technology.
Medical technology.
Yes.
Yeah. The other part of the world is a small village. And with all the traditions and history and everything, a boy was given birth to a father who had only given birth to girls.
Girls, all through.
All through. And a desperate
needed a boy.
Grandmother
who needed
a boy. At all costs.
At all costs.
How did your mind come up with this story?
Yes, I want to bring into focus the disparity
in the world.
First, between the developed economies and the developing economies. This is the reference. And then to also bring into sharp focus, even in our country, the difference between the urban and the rural dweller. So the urban person should not think that, because he can access IVF, the story for the country is already made. No. We know that 60 to 70% of our patient, of our population, are in the rural areas. So it's a very heavy population. And if all these people are neglected, like what I have painted, what is the success of any government? So that is what I wanted to bring into sharp focus. That first, we have a disparity between West and the rest of us. But even within us, we have a sharper disparity between what the government is doing for the rural dwellers who form, not only in Nigeria, in the African continent, who form a huge population. The education is in shambles. Healthcare system is in trouble. I mean, if you were a doctor, I painted a picture of a boy, of this same boy, who had tetanus. And you can see the way they were trying to manage tetanus. It still happens.
It still happens.
Is that what we should be getting in 21st century?
Prof, apart from the message, how did you deal with the challenge to entertain in this novel? Because you had all manner of characters.
Yes. One of the things that I pride myself is I'm quite humorous, and that has helped me in my teaching profession. I bring some form of drama into teaching and so on and so forth, and I love it. And
I can see that. I can feel that here.
And my students, they love it too. So I try to marry what God has given me as a talent in the literary world, and then use it to pass the message of
across.
medicine.
I mean, because I try to dig. I mean, get a peep into the mind of the writer. So, the boy who was born in the West, his father and his mother are professors.
Professors, good.
Yeah, one is a professor of drama. And then the other one is a professor of chemistry.
Geophysics.
Geophysics, yes. And I could see the, you had this light conversation between both of them.
Between science
yes,
and
arts. Where the woman is saying, no, drama is superior to
science.
And the father, so I could sense all that going on there, and there were bits of humor that came from the other end of the world,
yes,
where the grandmother, Iye, that's her name, right?
That's her name. That's Benin name for
desperate
mother,
for a son, and everything she did, not just to have a son, but also have control of the boy. It was all so. Yeah, Prof, you need to talk to me about. You need to let me into your mind.
Yes.
How did you come up with all this observation?
Observation of the characters in most rural areas.
Interesting.
Yes, because and if you look if you look at it clearly, you will find that the character of Iye in being bossy, is reflected the character of Linda.
Yes.
So
yes, that's
in a way, the human beings, in spite of their
different geographical
zones and different coloration,
the
same.
White or black.
White or black.
Basically the same.
So that is one message I was sending out in this novel.
I was going to ask you, Prof, the way you described the Western scenario, which Linda was a mother,
yes,
Jimmy was a father,
yes,
Jones was a son. Right? Okay. Now, the way you describe that Western scenario made me say to myself, I will ask you when I see you, that have you been living in Europe all your life, or did you just come to Nigeria?
I studied.
Oh, you studied in Europe?
Yes.
But that was many years ago.
Many years ago, but I still remember vividly the ways of Western life. And then, of course, I go holidaying.
Yes, because that's quite, I was like, oh, wow, okay. This has to have been written by somebody who is very much there. But maybe I forgot the power of creativity. Maybe I forgot that, about writers, how writers can create.
Dream.
Yes, they can create and describe worlds that they may not necessarily
be part of. That is true.
Which is an essential part of creative writing. Interesting. The bridge of Holocaust. Holocaust.
Yes.
Eventually ended the
story. Yeah. Actually, one British lady who read through, said that why did I have to end the story
the way you ended it?
The way they ended it. That I said the way I ended it is that if you look at the way the one in the village died, believing that the work of the person in the Western world that was responsible for his death was caused by the gods. Why was that? Illiteracy.
Yeah, Prof. It's been a pleasure discussing with you.
Thank you very much.
Going through your works and particularly this book, The Bridge of Holocaust. Fascinating work.
Thank you very much.
Well done, sir.
I am grateful and nice to have been given the opportunity to appear.
The doctor and the writer. Well, interesting, really interesting. And you need to read The Bridge of Holocaust. Just like Prof described this book, it's really it takes you into two different worlds, and your mind just keeps wondering what's happening at the other end of the world. And when the book takes you there, you're wondering what's happening at the other end of the world until you get to the end of the book, which is quite, there were some spoilers in that conversation. Well, I will say no more. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.